Good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday. This is a complete change of pace for us. We've actually never done this before, but we thought it could be fun if we did a Facebook Live here at the radio station with Todd, who was
Hello, everybody.
in our last Citizens Academy class. We uh, we kind of I kind of
There we go.
suggested that he join the class, and so he could see everything, what it was about, and figured we could full chat.
Oh yeah, and it was fun, and thanks for having me on this. I appreciate that, and we're gonna have a blast. So I've actually got this. We're sharing it on. Let's see, that may be my computer, but
Facebook.
yeah, we're sharing it on our Facebook page as well. That's the WJGA Facebook page and the Butts County Government page. So we're gonna do this thing and really take your questions and find out, dig deep into what is Citizens Academy and what it's all about there and how it works. So anything you want to know, pick our brains, and we're happy to answer it.
Absolutely, and just put them in the comments below, and hopefully we'll be able to check it in live time. I'll kind of have my phone here going so I can watch the live as it happens and see the comments as they come up.
Yeah,
But I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. So I guess before we dive into stories and everything, we probably should even just talk about what Citizens Academy actually is
yeah.
for those that may have heard about it but not really heard what it is.
Well, um, and again, you see me glancing down, so I'm just I made some notes to myself so I don't sound or ramble or anything. But Uh, for me, it was really an opportunity to know more about local government because I felt like since I am a work in local media and deal with a lot of news and a lot of events and things like that, you hear a lot of names, you hear a lot of acronyms like we talked about in the interview, and I thought of it as it gave me a means to be a better communicator,
Hmm.
to know, put faces with names, to know more about different departments, and it would help me convey information better because
Okay, great.
I'm I'm all about behind the scenes things and
Yeah.
how things work and go together. And so, yeah,
See, I love hearing your definition of it because I feel your definition, being somebody who's a citizen wanting to take the class, is very different from,
yeah,
say, my definition, which is just, I like to call it the behind the scenes ins and outs
oh yeah,
of local government, and our local government specifically, because you get to meet all the departments. You
that's
get to
right,
see within the different departments, offices and suites, and it's an area that many people, the public, doesn't
hmm
normally get to see, or their archive rooms in the
hmm
court side of the building, and it's just your behind the
that's
scenes
right,
7 week tour.
yeah. It's like a real life how it's made.
Exactly,
Hmm
exactly. But you have multiple weeks of it,
hmm
and I think it's a lot of fun.
hmm
It's I always enjoy it every single year, and each class brings a different personality,
Yeah,
you could say. But I think in the end, we all kind of
yeah,
come out
yeah.
similar.
And thinking about this too when I was looking at some of the things that you were jotting down. Uh, I really went into it with no expectations,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I found that sometimes when you go into something, not all the time, but sometimes when you go in with no expectations and just kind of a blank slate, you end up enjoying it a whole lot more.
Mhm. Mhm.
And that I felt like that was the way I really was trying to go into this. Is I knew the gist of it, but didn't want to know other than that, so I could really form my own opinions of it and go into it with an open mind.
Exactly.
I think
Exactly.
I think for anybody that as long as you can go into it with an open mind, that's the best way to do it.
Oh,
Blank slate.
100%.
Mm-hmm.
So, what was the final decision that made you decide to join the class?
I really want to. I hear so many names
Mhm.
news wise
Mhm.
that sometimes I would think, I don't know who that is.
Yeah.
And then delving further into that is, you know what? I really don't know what they do.
Mhm.
And there are so many different facets of so many people that are in the county.
Mhm.
And to know what they do and who they are and the why with it just made it so much easier to understand. And then that leads into if you have a question, you know who to call. And I always kind of joke around at home and say, hey, I know a guy. And so that's one of those things I feel like now is, hey, well, you know what? Let me call so and so and ask them. They might
Exactly. I love that.
know. Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure if many people watching or listening realize this, but before I worked for the county, I took the First Citizens Academy class. I
Really?
was part of the First Citizens Academy class.
Oh, wow.
And this was right after the January 12th tornadoes in
Yeah.
2023, and I had been asked to help the county with the communications aspect after the tornado, posting on socials and doing that kind of thing. And at the time I was working for the chamber, and so they asked the chamber if they could borrow my social media capabilities for a
Yeah.
little bit, and I said sure. And so while I was there, I met so many people, but I had no idea what the different departments did, who they actually were, kind of the ins and outs of everything. And Brad, the county manager, he suggested Citizens Academy because registration had just opened up,
Mm-hmm.
and I was he's like, you know what, I think you could learn a lot in Citizens
Mm-hmm.
Academy, and he kind of explained what it was, and I was excited to
Oh,
take it
yeah.
just to to hear the full spiels of every department that I had ran into on a just in passing basis, and
Yeah.
in the social media chats and everything like that. And so yeah, I thought that that was very interesting that I took the first class, and now
Yeah.
here I am orchestrating
Yeah.
every class after that.
Well, I enjoyed being able to come back every week and say, hey, you know, had class last night. Here's what we learned. Here's what you can look forward to. And it was funny because it was a combination of you talking about it, and my wife had heard it as well. And I had told you I was going to sign up, and I tend to be a procrastinator. So she said, have you signed up yet? She said, you already told her you were going to. And then uh, I had not gotten around to it. And you said, I don't see your name on there yet. And I thought, oh, I thought, okay. I thought they're hitting me from both sides here. So I immediately went on after we talked, signed up for it, and yeah, it's one of the best things I ever did.
I forgot that I said something about it one
Yeah.
week when we were recording our weekly
Hmm.
chat, and I think our weekly chats also kind of helped
Yeah,
push
I agree.
you to be interested in taking the class in the first place
I
because
agree because a lot of things that you talk about on a weekly basis now, I have a lot more of an understanding because I tend to get nervous in those things. Sometimes it may not show, but I have a fear of asking a dumb question or saying something dumb. And now I understand it a whole lot better and how the departments are broken down and who does what. And I can think, okay. So, yeah.
perfect.
Hmm.
So I guess this is a simple question, and I feel I already may know your answer to this, and I hope it's not no, but after taking the class, would you recommend
And I wrote down 1,000% yes.
it?
1,000% yes. And I feel like within, what, 6 weeks, I think ours was, it was years worth of information in 6 weeks.
Mhm.
And making the contacts that you will, not only from the people in the different departments, but the people that you take the class with, that is an invaluable tool for anybody.
Oh, 100%,
Hmm.
100%. And even coming to, I guess I'm kind of jumping ahead to one of my favorite things after Citizens Academy, but everybody that takes the class in the end of it gets kind of my contact information, knows where my office is, and they kind of feel that they have a person at the county that they can come to when they have any questions, when they simply don't know where to go, but they know they need to do something in the
Hmm.
admin building. And for example, one of the students stopped by
Oh,
yesterday
yeah.
and sat in my office and kind of caught up with me a little bit, and then they asked me a couple questions, and the questions kind of directed them towards planning and zoning. But in the end of it, I kind of walked them over to planning and zoning, And I said, hey, this is one of my Citizens Academy alumni. They met you all during Citizens Academy, but this is what they're kind of wanting to do right now. Can you help them? Do you have a moment? And it instantly kind of rebuilt
Mm-hmm.
that connection between them and that department, and that's just something I love, and it truly just fills my heart with
Mm-hmm.
just, I don't know, it just fills that cup
Yeah,
up real quick.
yeah, yeah. It's and the proudest feeling for anybody that goes through it is the graduation at the end,
Yes.
because that culmination for it and being there that night, it's like, okay,
And you just say, I did it.
yeah,
I truly did it. I spent the time and effort and took the notes, got the material. I did
yeah.
it. And
And you actually get a real deal diploma too.
you do.
People may not know that.
I make them myself.
Yeah, mine is framed and hanging above my desk in my office. Yeah,
Yep. Yep.
yeah.
And you even well, we even do a proper graduation ceremony. The only thing I'm kind of kicking myself for with this last ceremony is I forgot to play the music.
Oh,
I was taking photos
yeah.
and posing for photos. Somehow I was multitasking and taking the photos while being in the photos, and it was
You
a
had your
lot.
hands full.
I did, but I forgot the music, and I feel the music is probably the most important.
I don't think anybody will fault you for that.
No, no, but that's kind of where I'll get better this
Yeah,
class, and
yeah. It just it keeps evolving and keeps growing, and yeah,
oh, for sure.
yeah.
And in this class, I'll make sure to hit play on my little speaker that I've got there with the microphones. And
You do a wonderful job.
well,
So
thank you. I
yeah,
appreciate it. I love what I do, and I love putting this class on for the community because it's very needed,
yeah.
and it brings a lot to the table and just provides a lot of insight.
Well, we want to get it to a point to where you have to have a waiting list for the class.
Actually, I do.
Really?
So, yeah. So generally, for every class, I have a wait list,
Oh man.
and it's not like your typical wait list where if we max out how many people are in the class, your name gets added to that list. I I try to say that I don't really have a max amount of students within the class, but generally I try to cap it around 20,
Mm-hmm.
25-ish. But after probably the first 2 weeks of class, I'll get people calling me
Yeah,
saying, is it too late to join this class?
yeah,
And I say, it is, but I'll put your name on the list for next class.
yeah.
And so with each class, I have had a waiting list, and
That's
that'll
awesome.
vary from one person to 7 people.
Yeah,
And I love, like, before when I start working for next class and I start opening my wait list, and I'm like, oh, let's see how many people I get to call today and say, hey, registration's open. You want me to add you to the list?
oh yeah,
And yeah, but I love it.
yeah. That's fantastic. That's the way we want it to be.
Absolutely. So this is kind of a more fun question. I made a list and we both have it, but this is just kind of the notes to keep us at least on track. And and I guess if we have any questions, we'll jump around. But do you have any funny stories from the class?
Yeah, the one that stuck out to me
Uh huh.
is that people that are sitting right next to you, that you don't realize it. And we were several weeks in, and the lady that was sitting next to me, I heard her uh, talking about where she lived a number of years ago, and it was the same hometown that I'm from. And I said, "Well, what do you know about that?" And it morphed into a conversation.
Oh no. Okay,
There
we're
we go.
back.
There we
Perfect.
go.
I probably should have connected to the Wi-Fi before this, but
Well, it turned out not only did we live in the same hometown, but that I went through grade school and middle school with her son, and that when I was in elementary school, I didn't even realize that she was one of my teachers for a while.
oh, that's amazing.
So she reached out to her son, who lives in another state now, and asked him, and he remembered exactly who I was. Knew first name, last name, everything. So I thought that's a small world that you're sitting next to somebody that, has been right down the road from you.
Yeah, and you
And
had no idea?
yeah,
No idea. And I think you guys had that discussion. What was it, like week 2 or 3? It wasn't even first class that kind of opened your eyes to it. But so my story is a little bit, it's on a different scale. I think it was our second class. It might have been the second class that I kind of orchestrated, but in the class night one, part of Brad's discussion is explaining that the basic necessities for the admin building or for any of our other facilities that you have to buy for your house, like paper towels, toilet paper,
Mm-hmm.
all of that kind of stuff, we have to buy too. And as that price increases for consumers at home, it also
Mm-hmm.
increases for county government. And he jokingly said something like, next time you come to the admin building, just keep that in mind. And I think somebody joked in class suggesting that next time they come to the admin building, they'll bring their own toilet paper.
Yeah.
And we didn't even think anything of it. That was probably class one. And we roll around to graduation night at the commissioners meeting. And this particular student that made that comment about bringing their own toilet paper brought a pack of toilet
Oh
paper
wow.
to the commissioners meeting. And when they got up to take their group photo in front of everybody with the commissioners, they gave the gift of this value pack of toilet paper to Brad, and everybody in the audience was just confused.
Oh yeah.
it was
Yeah.
it was funny, and everybody in class was laughing. Everybody up front was just hilarious, and it was funny because it was a big pack of toilet paper, and she had to kind of like walk up there with the toilet
Oh yeah.
paper, and
Yeah.
the looks of confusion as
Like,
she's
what is
walking up there. Exactly.
what is that about?
And so we had to kind of explain the almost inside joke, but it wasn't even designed to be an inside joke, but it was a really, really funny moment that
Well, that is one of those things that I can definitely say, and I don't mean to be cliche, but you don't know until you go. That's like the joke, and that yeah, that's and if somebody says, "Well, what is that about?" I don't, I heard you mentioning something. What was that? Take Citizens Academy, you'll find out.
exactly. and
Mm-hmm.
and I feel we have those funny moments with every class.
Mm-hmm.
That was the only class that actually they brought a physical item to graduation. But in last class, one of the people in class was a big Alabama
Oh
fan,
yes. Mm-hmm.
and uh, one that Brad is a Georgia fan, and so she brought him an entire like little gift, and it was all Alabama stuff, and
Mm-hmm. And
that was funny too. But just the little things that I think truly make the class exceptional.
well, it's funny because that's the same lady that I was talking about, and that even when in grade school, her son was always the world's biggest Alabama fan, and we were all Georgia fans. So we used to give him a hard time about Alabama too. And it's funny that here we are in class all these years later with his mom there, and now we're still giving her a hard time about Alabama. So everything comes back full circle.
Oh, for sure,
Yeah.
for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What surprised you about the class?
Not even so much that surprised me about it, but I was amazed how well organized it was. Especially like the first night, like getting the books and seeing everything that went into it and all the preparation
Hmm.
and the flow of everything went as well too. It just you would have people that come in and you could tell that the people that were speaking were passionate about their jobs, their career,
Hmm.
what they were doing, and everything was broken down into layman's terms. And if there was something you didn't understand, that hand could go up and it was clarified right there on the spot. And I
Hmm.
liked the pacing of it, that it kept moving. And so it was not something you would think, oh, this is a bunch of, boring government stuff. Not the case at all. Definitely not. Definitely well paced, well planned, well thought out. And it's one of those things that, I mean, the minute you get there, here's where we're at. Here's what we're going to do. Here's who's talking. Boom, boom, boom. And it keeps moving. And then by the time it's over for that particular evening, you're thinking, what? Wait, we're done?
Hmm.
Oh, you want more. It leaves you wanting more.
Exactly. And so by books, let me clarify a little bit. So everybody night one of class gets a binder.
Mm-hmm.
And I have went through and printed every single presentation that you'll have for the entire class. And you get a pen, you get the binder, you even get some play money that I'm not going to spoil the surprise of what it's used for, but it is used for one of the games
Yeah.
in the class. And so you get this whole binder, and it's your lifeline, really. It has everybody's contact information. It has everybody's presentations, and for each presentation to kind of keep it feeling like it flows and it doesn't drag on at any point or get boring or get to a point where you can't really understand what the departments are talking about. We kind of structure the presentations for them to go over kind of what they do
Mm-hmm.
and then talk about how you as a citizen can get involved,
Mm-hmm.
because that's from gathering through all my surveys with the last few classes, that's kind of a big part for why a lot of the citizens take the class, is for them to figure out how they can get involved or
Yeah.
what they can do to help, or maybe they could volunteer for something. And so to incorporate that into every single presentation,
Yeah.
I kind of answer that question before it kind of can be asked. And I love always seeing people taking notes,
Yeah.
because that kind of helps me to know what the most important part of everybody's presentation
Yeah.
is where people pick up their pen and add an
Mm-hmm.
extra note to kind of what's already listed on that slide for that moment.
And it's funny because I'm trying to word this carefully so I don't spoil anything. Like you talked about the money that's in there in the binder when you do find that out, but what is done with it and what it's used for. I was amazed to hear you and Brad say that for every class that they've had, it's been completely different what it was used for from one class
Mhm.
to the other,
Yep.
and it really lets you see like the thought process of
Mhm.
like different people. You don't necessarily have to know them,
Yep.
but to see how they're thinking about it and if they're thinking along the same lines as maybe you or your class. And
Mhm.
so when you get to that point, that's fascinating, and I think that's one of the last few weeks that you get to that. But
Well, it kind of varies for each class because I keep it with a specific department.
mm-hmm.
And those watching, you can probably guess which department gets the play money, given the different departments that you hear about.
Mm-hmm.
Since one of them is finance,
Oh yeah,
I
yeah,
like to keep this particular play money scenario with finance, just because they kind of go hand in hand. And so with the last class, it was, I think, like night 5 or 6,
yeah,
and everybody, I think every week, because they had the money from the first night, and so every week I had a different person asking me, "Hey, what is this money for?" And I just told them, "You'll see."
you'll
And I
see.
think it built this anticipation that we hadn't had in classes before, because we did it maybe night 1, night 2, and it just didn't have
Yeah,
the same effect. But I loved just looking at him and kind of smiling and saying, "You'll see."
yeah, yes, you will. It is worth the wait, and it's a pleasant surprise when you find out.
It is, and it's a lot of fun, playing this interactive moment.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but okay, next question.
yeah.
Do you think you'd be bored during class? Like before you started class, when you signed up, did you ever have that fear that I don't know if it's going to be interesting?
You know what I can say? I don't think that I thought it was going to be boring, and I don't think I was biased, but uh, it's been what about a year that you and I have been doing our weekly segment and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew you, and I had gotten to know Brad a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
so I kind of had an idea of at least the material and whatnot. But like I said, tried to go into it with more of an open mind, and doing that, I was pleasantly surprised with everything. But no, I did not have the idea or the thought that it would be boring. Maybe it's because I'm interested in that kind of thing, but for anybody that may think, well, it might be a lot of stuff that I don't know about or this, no, no, it is not at all. It is one of the most entertaining things that you can do, educational, entertaining, and it's just a fun class.
Mm-hmm.
And as much material as we cover, there's just as much or more laughs or funny moments that come out of it too.
Hmm.
Hmm.
And a lot of the funny moments, like they're in the moment and they're funny, but I always forget to write them down, or there's just too many to even talk about. And I've heard from a lot of people because I've kind of asked people's thoughts during class, after class, the alumni that I really like to pick their brain about, and many of them will tell me before I even can ask them, I wasn't really sure what to expect with this class. I wasn't really excited for it. My husband roped me into it, or
Hmm.
they didn't want to do it alone, so they asked me to do it with them, and I love it.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing to see them say that they weren't going to like it
Yeah.
and then that they loved it all in the same sentence. And that's kind of the feel that we get always with it.
Yeah.
Um, but I know some people haven't signed up just because they fear it's a boring class or it's.
No, and I have teenagers at home, so
Hmm.
it was interesting to come home, and a couple of times I caught them looking at my book that I had. And is this what you're taking? And oh, well,
Hmm.
where are you at now? What are you learning? And to come home that night too, and talk with my wife before we head off to bed. And okay, what'd you learn tonight? How was class? What'd you
Hmm.
do? What went on? And to kind of go over that recap and to be able to share that information. And the payoff for me was, wow, it sounds like you learned a lot. Yeah, that's the idea.
Exactly. And to piggyback off of recap, somebody commented on our live video that we're doing right
All
now.
right.
They
Hi there.
said you told them every week what you learned, and they loved hearing the recaps
Oh,
that you
good.
did with Dawn. So
Good.
that's a
Thank you, listener.
yes, Jessica. Thank
Hey,
you,
all right.
Jessica.
Thank you.
But yeah. So let's, I guess,
Yeah.
favorite moment. If you had to pick a favorite moment.
Everybody is going to say, if they did it, it's going to say climbing the ladder. And I did enjoy that, but I really thought long and hard. And I think my favorite moment was when we were doing, and it was pretty early on when we were learning about the different courts and whatnot.
Mhm.
And to go back and see the record books, like
Mhm.
in the archives and whatnot, and to be able to hold that and open it and look and see, you know, notes that were jotted down, handwritten, not written in a computer typed, handwritten from 50, 75 years ago or more, and think, wow, somebody was here and cracked open this big book and recorded all that information. And here I am all these years later now, I'm holding the same book and looking at it. And that was fascinating to me. So I think that was my favorite part.
So mine's, I don't know, I feel mine might be a cliche favorite moment
Okay.
because the books are amazing and we started incorporating those a couple classes ago, but I just love meeting everybody.
Oh, yeah.
And like my favorite is night one of class when all these people are true strangers to me at that point because I just see their name on a list. And yeah, I've probably emailed back and forth with them when they said can't wait or I got your email kind of thing. And so to meet them in person and to start building
Right.
that connection with them, almost the
Yeah.
trust and the communication with that person is probably my favorite thing. But
Yeah.
it's
I would agree with that. I would second that. And now I go around town and I see people that were in the class or people from the different departments that I might not have known before, and now you know them by name, or oh hey Todd, or they know you, and somebody might say, well, who is that? Yeah.
exactly. And even like when I'm walking around the admin building or somebody from class, I'll see them out and about, whether it's at work things or just in my personal time. They'll say, "Hey, Morgan," and I love waving back at them and saying, "Hey," or in the admin building, Brad and I will see them, and Brad will recognize them too, and so you can kind of see their whole face light up because they recognize somebody in this
Yeah.
massive organization and the massive building that you have to go to for everything
Yeah.
feels bigger than it actually is some days. But
It's funny because the night that we had graduation,
mhm.
after that, my wife and I went out to eat here in town. And so as soon as we walked into the restaurant, there was somebody that I knew from Citizens Academy.
Oh, that's amazing.
So, oh, hey, how's it going? So we sit down, we get our menu we haven't ordered yet, and then somebody else that I had met from Citizens Academy walks in.
Oh, that's
And
perfect.
so we get our order, we're waiting on our food, and then somebody else from Citizens Academy that I knew walked through. And then finally, just as we were about to pay the check, there's a fourth person from Citizens Academy. So she said, "Can we go anywhere that there isn't somebody you know?" And I said, "No." And she
Not
said,
anymore.
"How do you know all these people?" I said, "Every single one of them has had something to do with Citizens Academy."
Which is crazy because the student number in Citizens Academy wasn't that big. This last class was our biggest class to date, and we had, I think, 19 graduated. We did have a few extras on the list, and they are taking this class this go round because they weren't able to make it last class. But it's not that many people, and
Yeah,
yet now you probably saw them before and
yeah,
didn't even think anything of it, but now
exactly.
you see them everywhere.
And those connections. Yeah,
Exactly. And some of them are are people that work in various businesses in the community. Some of them are retired. It's a wide variety of people that you meet in this class.
from all different walks of life.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And I was trying to see. Oh, another favorite thing that I guess this is a story, but two of the students in last class, they're husband and wife,
Mm-hmm.
and they loved the class.
Oh yeah,
And afterwards, I received this card in the mail, and I wasn't expecting it. I
yeah.
just saw my name on the front and saw who it was from, and I was like, oh, that's some of my Citizens Academy graduates. I open it, and it's a thank you
Oh
card,
man,
and they wrote this little note in there that I wasn't expecting.
yeah,
And so if you ever come to my office, look on the back right
yeah,
of my little board, my bulletin board in my office. I
mm-hmm.
have it pinned up there, and
Yeah,
it's probably my favorite moment to date
yeah,
from Citizens Academy, just because it shows the impact that
yeah,
this class has on everybody that takes it,
yeah,
and how just grateful some of them are after the
yeah.
class. And it truly made probably my entire year last year receiving that thank you card.
Well, I enjoy it because on an infrequent basis I'll get people that'll come into my office, but since my diploma is hanging on the wall right over my desk, people look around when they're in an office for the first time and seeing things, and you see a diploma, but then you get, what is that diploma? What is that for? Let me tell you.
Yep, exactly. And
Have you
it's a
got a minute?
conversation starter. I
Yeah.
love it. And then, so someone watching, someone listening, if they're on the fence about joining the class, what would you tell them?
Dive in head first.
I love it.
Dive in head first.
Short, sweet, to the point.
Yeah, that's the best thing I can say is you don't have anything to worry about. Don't have any concerns. Don't have any negative expectations that you think that it might be boring or not entertaining or not informative, because it's exactly the opposite. And as I've said many times, it's one of the best things that I've done, and I think you'll find that out too. That's what I can tell you is sign up, just do it. Just go right in.
See, you actually led into mine. So mine, just do it. That's probably my phrase that I'd tell anybody that is thinking about joining the class. And then I'd pose a question to them. When else would you have the opportunity
Mm-hmm.
to climb the ladder truck? Because
Mm-hmm.
that's not often an opportunity that gets posed to you. And so my question is, when would be your next opportunity to
Mm-hmm.
have that opportunity?
And I have not heard of this type of class that was offered anywhere else around. And uh, it's great because information is free, and
Mm-hmm.
this doesn't cost you anything other
Mm-mm.
than your time.
Exactly.
So as long as you can make that commitment to go and stick with it, you may be nervous or apprehensive at first, but from the time that you get there and start from that first week, you'll blink and it's over. And then you think, but I was just, you know,
Mm-hmm.
I want more.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And seeing everybody every single week and building those connections is,
Mm-hmm.
you can't even put words to that.
Yeah.
So I know we briefly mentioned this in our recording just a few minutes ago when we were recording our weekly chat, but have you used any of the information that you learned during class?
On an everyday basis. On an
Really?
everyday basis, yes. And I mean, not trying to be gross, but I'm right on the line for butts in Monroe, but I was on the butt side, and there was something, and unfortunately, on the highway that we see every day around here. But I stopped and I looked for a second, and I thought, wait a minute, I'm on the butt side. Uh, that's been here for a day or two. Who do I call? And I thought, first thing I thought was see click fix
Yep.
that I had learned in the class, and you'll learn about that too. And then I was able to call the correct department and said, hey, I know you're stretched pretty thin and, you guys are doing this and that, but if you have time, I know you have more pressing issues. Here's what's going on. And I think going into that phone call and having a better understanding of exactly what kind of things that they do and what they're working with and, staffing and everything else, it was, I think I could tell they appreciated it a lot more on the call.
Oh, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And C-click fix is an amazing
Yeah.
example of something you learn in the class. Another example is what three words.
Yep.
For those that don't know about it, if you take class, you will know. I'll give a little sneak peek. But I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. And I feel like I used the information that I learned in my first class, but it was so early on into my county journey that at that point I honestly didn't even think that I'd be working for the
Right.
county
For
6,
sure.
7 months later.
Yeah.
It wasn't even kind of in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
I was just taking the class for fun, really. But I probably use the information we teach in that class probably on the daily as well.
Yeah.
Whether it's through social media or responding to somebody's question
Yeah.
on Facebook or over the phone,
Yeah.
or people that stop in asking for assistance with getting their passport,
Mm-hmm.
or what office do they go to for passports, birth certificates, anything with the courts. A lot of what I learned and tell people now is hearing the presentations in Citizens
Yep.
Academy.
And at some point in the future, some variation, whether it's this one or, a year from now, I'm going to pop in one night and just sit in the back of the room and listen to it again to see what it's morphed into and, how different it is because it takes on, I think every version of it takes on a life of its own.
It does, because it's different people in the class that ask different questions. And the questions I feel are what guide the presentations a little bit, because you can have the same PowerPoint for every single class, but kind of what moments or information you focus on are all determined on what people ask or the look on some people's faces where it shows more interest. So you kind of talk more on that subject.
Yeah. People are going to be saying, who's that guy in the back of the room with a lawn chair?
That's me. You wouldn't need to get a lawn chair. We probably have some extra chairs in the room. You could just
I know it'd be
pull one
full,
up.
and I don't want to disturb anybody, so I just pop up. Just don't mind me.
As long as you don't bring the squeaky lawn chair, I think
No.
we'll be good.
No.
Maybe WD-40 it before
got a can of it up front.
So right now, I looked at the number this morning actually of how many we currently have registered for this class, and I think you'll be really excited. Right now, we have 18 registered,
Hey, all right.
which is almost exactly how many we had in last class. And so I was really excited coming into this Facebook Live because we already have so many.
Yeah.
And I'm curious to see if we're able to have a new record for Mac's class this go round, because I'm hoping that this chat with us will just show everybody how fun it is, how exciting it is, and kind of push people over that. I don't know if I should do it, but
you should.
You 100% should.
Don't have any doubt. We're telling you, just do it.
Exactly. So if you want to sign up, because we haven't really mentioned that yet, but if you want to sign up, there's a link on our Facebook page, and it's pinned at the top of our Facebook page to where you can click it, or you can go to this morning's Good Morning Butts County social media post and it has the link there as well. Or if you can't, if the form doesn't work for you, if you can't get it to pull up right, anything like that, you can stop by or give us a call
Yeah.
and ask to speak to Morgan,
Yeah.
and I'll get you registered myself just
Yeah.
to kind of speed up the process. I don't
Yeah.
want to limit the class to only people who are able to get the link to work, because I
Mm-hmm.
mean it's an
Yeah.
online form, and online forms can be buggy sometimes, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna open it to everybody.
Yeah. 770-775-8200.
Yep.
See, I even got it covered right here. Yeah.
And if you happen to want to know my extension for, I guess, future reference, or when you call the admin building, you have the option to put in the extension to go straight to the person. That way you don't have to ask or remember my name or anything. It's 2412
Okay.
2412. If you want to see, he's even writing that down.
Keep that. I'm going to put my notes here. I'm going to put them in the back of my book that I have.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
It has, your book has even the little plastic
Mm-hmm.
front and back too, so you can even put that
Yeah.
in the little plastic.
Mm-hmm.
But so I guess we've talked all fun questions. Now we're kind of getting into the nitty gritty of
Mm-hmm.
this class. And so a couple days ago, I spent what felt like all day trying to truly maximize as much time as we can in this schedule, because uh, before I kind of go into what each night is going to consist of, I do kind of want to talk about what I changed for this class. Because every time we talk about each class, I talk about I like to make it better than the last. And I'll make mental notes as we go through class of things that could be better next go round. Or maybe if we did it this way, it might turn out better.
Mm-hmm.
And so I like to just play around with changing a couple things to see what happens. I
Mm-hmm.
mean,
Yeah.
that way we can get the best class
Keep it
possible.
fresh.
Exactly. And so I did change a couple things this class, not as drastic as I changed last class, because last class I introduced a graduation night,
Mm-hmm.
which we had never done, and it
Yeah.
was a hit. I loved it.
Yeah.
But the big thing we're doing is uh, public safety night.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just going to be one night this class go
Okay.
round. We're splitting up public safety night into 2 nights,
Okay.
just because public safety night, if we could go on for 4 hours on public safety night,
Yep.
we would.
Yep.
And just because there's so much to cover, hearing the presentations, touring 911, going outside, seeing all the sheriff's office vehicles and what equipment they have in those vehicles, and climbing the ladder
Yep.
truck, touring the ladder truck, touring the ambulance, seeing everything in the ambulance. There's just so much time, like so many items in so little time to do everything.
Yeah.
And my big thing was, what if we split it up?
Yeah.
So
That's smart.
it'll be 2 weeks back to back, but it will be the fire department on one night, and then the following week it'll be 911 and the sheriff's office.
Yeah.
That way no one feels rushed. We can tour 911 properly. We can spend the needed time with the sheriff's office to see their vehicles and just kind of get the full scope of everything.
Yeah. No, that's brilliant.
And then we're also, sadly, given this presentation lineup, I was not able to incorporate the tour of the courthouse, the historic courthouse on the square. Maybe we might do one of the classes at the courthouse, but for the night that we usually do it, which is planning and zoning and code enforcement, it's not going to be on that night this go round.
Okay.
I'm hoping I can figure out a way to incorporate it maybe on the first night or something, but for right now it's not in the schedule, which I'm very sad about. It's an amazing building to see, and to see the renovations that are happening upstairs with the actual courtroom. And then the last thing that I've kind of changed is we're doing graduation night and the commissioners meeting night on the same night. So we'd probably do graduation probably around like 4:35ish, and then we'd roll straight into the commissioners meeting, because last class we had, because it was 2 separate nights, we ran into the issue of, oh, I can be here for this one and I really wish I could be there for the commissioners, but I can't do it. And I logged it. I heard everything that everybody was saying, and I thought, well, why not we do it on the same night?
Yeah.
That way, for those that want to see a commissioners meeting that had never seen a commissioners meeting, they
Hmm.
were there already, and they could see the workshop, they could see the meeting, and
Yeah.
get recognized at the meeting, and then we.
Yeah. And it was the last one when I took it that when everybody was recognized at the
Mm-hmm.
meeting, and that was the only night of the whole thing that I was not able to be there. And
Exactly.
I saw on your original flyer that you'd given me, I thought, oh, that's my class. So I went back, and I have to admit this. I photoshopped myself into that picture and then printed it out. I've got to put it in frames,
I
but
have to see it. I
yeah,
didn't know you did that. I
yeah.
love it. Oh, I really
I
need
mean,
to.
it looks awkward, but I
Yeah,
thought, I don't care. I
you're like,
thought,
I need to be in
yeah,
this
I need to
photo.
be in the picture. So,
Because we do at the commissioners meeting, we do bring everybody up and do a group photo with the commissioners. And so I want everybody that took the class to be able to be in that photo,
oh, yeah,
because that photo does get posted on socials, and I feel really bad if one of my students wasn't able to be
oh,
in
yeah.
any of the photos.
No, I even looked at like the angle that the picture was taken,
Mhm.
took a picture of myself, went in, removed the background, and then inserted myself between like two people.
Oh, I
Yeah,
love it. Did you
yeah,
put yourself in the back row just
yeah,
to so you could
yeah,
have to
exactly.
do as little Photoshop as possible?
That's
I
right.
love it.
Sandwiched in between like their shoulders, so it looks kind of looks like I'm standing behind them, like
Like you're
looking up.
peeking over. I love it. I need to see this photo. Oh goodness. So I guess we'll dive right in.
Yeah.
First class, we're moving back to Thursdays for this class, but the first class is a Tuesday night because that Thursday is the chamber has their banquet and or their gala this year, and so I didn't want to kind of
Mm-hmm.
interfere on that. But so first class is March 11th,
Mm-hmm.
and for that class we're doing the overview of the program. So
Mm-hmm.
Brad Johnson's going to talk about that and kind of give a little sneak peek to everything and give his insight and talk about, say, the developments in the River Park area, and just kind of provide insight to things that may not be on our social medias or may not have been discussed a ton. And then Michael goes over local government history, that kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing. And it's a that night flies by because
Oh yeah.
we also do introductions and love hearing about everybody and hearing names. So if you are in the class, be prepared. You will have to get up, say your name,
Oh
talk
yeah.
about yourself a little bit,
Yeah.
so you can start thinking now what you're going to say.
Mm-hmm.
But that's night one. Then
Don't
we
be
roll
shy.
in. No, yeah, please don't be shy. We hope to kind of push away some of that shyness, and just kind of make it an inviting space, really.
If you are shy, they're gonna bring it out of you. You won't be by the end of the class.
No, definitely not in the first class for sure. Um, and then night two, March 20th, we're looking at human resources,
Mm-hmm.
budget and finance, communications. So you'll hear from me. And then we'll also hear from public works.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a different lineup than what we've done before, but I think it'll be very nice. And then
Mm-hmm.
we get to play with the play money, the Monopoly money a little bit that night and talk through that. So we're really you guys don't have to wait for the
Yeah, they get
play
it early
money with
on.
this game with this
Man, no,
go round.
no fair. They don't have to wait.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
That might have been something I was testing
Oh
last
yeah.
class.
Yeah,
I
no.
wish I could have pushed them a little bit farther along in the presentation lineup, but uh, figuring out the availability for each department and then finding a way to kind of wedge all those puzzle pieces together was truly a feat this go round.
You should. Sometime I don't know that it would work, but try the money thing at the very beginning, and then after they've heard everything, do it again at the end and see if it's different.
I like that
Just from
idea.
just in 6 7 weeks
Yeah, I
after
really
hearing
like that
that,
idea.
would their thought process as to where it goes be different?
Well, so on class night one, we do talk about kind of what your questions are and
Mm-hmm.
kind of where you stand on things, and then at the end of class we reevaluate some of
Hmm.
those things and say,
Yeah.
well, has anything changed?
Hmm.
What are your thoughts now? Or what questions do you have now? That way we can kind of answer every single question and kind of see the change
Yeah.
between night one and night seven.
Hmm. Oh yeah.
But that's a good idea. I'm gonna have to log that in
Oh
my
yeah.
brain for next time.
Hmm.
So the night three, March 27th, we're looking at Superior Court, Magistrate Court, and Probate Court. And then we're touring the admin building.
All right.
So that night you'll get to see the books
Yeah.
in the court offices and where my office is. That way, if you ever need me, you know where it lives. And then April 3rd is fire department
Hmm.
night, where you have the opportunity to climb the ladder truck and to view the ladder truck, the ambulance that's there, kind of get the ins and outs of the equipment on them. And
Hmm.
if you want to try on a helmet, you can, if or some of the turnout gear, you can ask, and they'll probably let you, maybe even for a photo, just to say, and you've done it, kind of thing. Um,
If you are, if I could offer a word of advice, if you are planning on attempting to climb the ladder, it doesn't matter how far you go, but the one piece of advice for sure, and just trust me on this, stretch before you do it, because if you don't stretch, your quads in the front of your legs will kill you for a few days. And something I thought about, maybe because it was cold that night that I did it, but I wore gloves that had grips in it because I knew that the rungs might uh, hurt my hands doing
mhm.
that with a cold. So think about gripped gloves, but definitely stretch, because if you don't, you're going to be sore. But upside is you have a cool story to tell.
You do, and you specifically have a cool photo
Hmm.
to forever show that you took at the top of the ladder.
I got to the very top, and we happened to have a big, big, bright full moon overlooking Jackson that night, and I almost dropped my phone from 75 feet up. But uh, I was able to quickly get it enough out of my pocket and take an aerial picture, and I got the whole town with the full moon over it, and I'm gonna have that blown up and hanging in my office. So
So I don't know why, but when you asked to take a photo at the top of the ladder and they told you, yeah, why not? I for some reason thought that you were going to be taking a selfie,
mm,
and I don't know why that was the thought that went through my head. But when you showed me the photo, my brain was like, oh, he meant
yeah,
the entire town, and it's an amazing photo.
hmm,
I think it's
oh yeah, and it came out crisp, and
it's
yeah,
it's a very good photo.
hmm,
But so if anybody wants to climb the ladder truck, don't worry about safety or anything like
oh
that.
no,
We have a harness on you, and there's two guys standing at like on the top of the truck at the
hmm,
base of the ladder. One, they're fully ready to, if you start panicking, which we did have a couple that thought about
hmm,
panicking and did hesitate for a minute, that will go up the ladder and meet you where you are and
hmm.
kind of help guide you down. And then the other guy is at the base of the ladder for that extra precautionary moment, but fully safe.
And there's a radio in the helmet that you have on, so you can talk to them all the way up and down.
Yep. And then at the very top, they do have a little area where you can talk to
Hmm.
the little radio at the top too.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, but that was very cool, and I was proud. And uh, going up wasn't so bad. Coming down is when I realized that I can't feel my legs anymore. I thought, oh no! So it took me longer to get down. But going up, you always hear, "Don't look down." Well, I thought, okay, all right, I'm winded, pace myself. But then when I realized at the bottom, when the fire chief was at the bottom, you were at the bottom, Brad was at the bottom, and I could hear everybody, go, Todd, go, go. And I thought, I've got to do this. I thought, I can't wimp out. Keep going. And yeah, and I'll still show people that picture and tell them, have you ever climbed a fire truck ladder? I have.
you're like, I checked that off my bucket list that I
Yeah.
didn't even know was on it. But what was I going to say? Oh yeah, and as you're climbing, I am recording the
Oh,
climb.
yeah.
So then afterwards, I post the video on Facebook, and then you can even ask me for the video, and I'll send it to you.
Oh, yeah.
Just for that visual proof that you did it. because you always have to have visual proof, I feel,
Oh yeah.
for doing amazing things.
Yeah.
But then the next week, week 5, April 10th, where you'll hear from 911, tour 911, so you'll see inside the radio room. If they're busy right then, you'll even maybe get to hear a call or
Hmm.
something. And then we do like to take a group photo in 911, so you can get a photo with Sonia and her ladies in the radio
Hmm.
room to show that you've been there. And then the sheriff's office will also,
Oh,
you'll
that's
hear
fun.
from them that night, and you'll get to see some of their vehicles, hear what they do outside, see their equipment, that kind of thing. I know with last class, they brought the SWAT vehicle,
Oh
which was
yeah.
really cool to see, and
Yeah.
they had their little I don't even know what it's called, but it's like the little robot,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
the and so that was cool to watch it
Hmm.
go around and see what it can do. And I know in classes past, they've brought some of their dogs, their canine
Hmm.
units, and it's just cool to see
Oh yeah.
uh, who comes and who's able to make it, because there's no telling what calls they have going on that evening when it's happening. So sometimes they can have a full plan of everybody they're going to bring, and a call goes out that some of those units have to go to. And
Yeah.
that's the same with the fire department night. Our hope is to get an ambulance there, but if the ambulance has to go on a call, we won't have the ambulance
Of
there.
course.
But that's just something to keep in mind with these classes. And when you're in the class and you may not see a ton of vehicles or that kind of thing, it's all dependent on what's happening right
Hmm.
then and there in that moment. And then we'll go straight into week 6, which is April 17th. Now this night's probably one of the fuller nights of class, just from the way it looks on the
Hmm.
presentation night. So we'll have the tax assessor's office. You'll hear from the tax commissioner's office,
Hmm.
planning and zoning, code enforcement, and facility maintenance. So
Oh
we
wow.
have 5 presentations that night.
That's a loaded night.
It
Yeah.
is going to be a loaded night, and we're going to move fast on that night. I try to keep it moving every night, but this night we're really going to have to stay on top of
Hmm.
things. And then we're also in last class, planning and zoning introduced I call it a game, but it's not really a game. It's an interactive moment where they had I won't spoil it, but they did an interactive moment for planning and zoning, and we're bringing that back again this
Oh, fun.
class because I think everybody really liked it.
Oh yeah.
Were you there that night for at the courthouse when we
Oh
did?
yeah.
Okay,
Hmm.
so they're bringing that back again, and that'll be that night, and
Yeah.
hopefully that night will move quick, and
Yeah.
before you know it, it'll be 8 p.m. and we're saying see you next week.
Yeah. No, wait. Oh, one
Yep,
more.
you're like that was 2 hours
Yeah.
already. And then we'll wrap up final night on April 24th with Parks and Recreation, Senior Services, and Elections. And we'll start that evening with the tour of the rec department and the tour of the senior center, because I like to do, that's the only night that we do the tours first,
Hmm.
because the parks tour is outside and we're kind of light dependent a lot on that tour. So I like to kind of use the sunlight while we have it and do the tour first, and then you'll get to see the senior center.
Yeah.
And hopefully by that point, with our senior center edition, you'll get to see at least maybe get a glimpse of how big that
Yeah.
edition is going to be, because I'm not sure how far along they'll be
Hmm.
in the building phase, but maybe you'll be able to look out the back window and see. You can't actually go in that space, but maybe look out a window and see.
Well, when all the construction and everything is done and it's opened, the first class that you have that tour of the new facility, I want to come that night.
Oh, I'm very, very excited for that class. And even when we do the ribbon cutting, I feel it could be beneficial to invite all of the alumni out so they can see the space for themselves and maybe be some of the first to
Count
be out there.
count me in. I'll be there.
You'll be there recording and doing your thing. And then finally, we'll graduate and be at the commissioners meeting on April 28th.
Yeah.
It's going to be a full 2 months coming up, but I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm really excited to meet everybody in this class.
Yeah. It'll be an exciting spring. By the time y'all are done, the weather will have warmed up. So
I hope so. I really hope so. I love the warmer weather, and all this cold is throwing me for a loop when it's cold in the morning and warm in the afternoon. trying to dress for that
Yeah,
is a struggle for
a lot of
sure.
planning.
Well, that's kind of all my notes.
Yeah.
I guess we should maybe just briefly re-say class starts March 11th. If you want to register, there is a link on our Facebook page that you can register with, or you can give me a call and I'll get you registered.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait to see everybody in the class. Um, Someone just said a great live interview, so
Oh, thank you.
thank you.
We
Really
appreciate
appreciate
that.
it. We're just trying to spread the word and
Yeah.
chat about something that I'm passionate about and something that you thoroughly enjoyed attending.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah. And like I said, that diploma is one of the proudest things you can display. And whether it's in your office or over your mantle or wherever that you have that, wear it proud.
yeah, absolutely. And you get it in this little portfolio thing. But if you want to put it in a frame, put it in a frame. It's a pretty certificate. I spent a little time designing it and
Yeah. You did a great job.
crafting it for everybody. Just because I'd want it framed and put out, so I want
Well,
it looking nice.
I enjoy going and finding a frame for stuff and putting it in. I'm like that. So yeah. But it's right up to show you how important it is. It's on the wall with my college diploma, my notary certificate, and my Citizens Academy
I
diploma.
love
So,
it. I
so
love it. Well, if you're on the fence, just join the class. And if you do join the class or you're already registered for this class, I can't wait to see you on
yeah,
March 11th at 6 p.m.
you're in for a
Class,
lot of fun.
yep, class will be from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. I know it's a little late in the afternoon and it's many weeks in a row, but it's worth it and you'll love
Absolutely.
every second of it. Um, well, you got anything?
No, just I mean, I would second and reiterate everything you said. It's just a lot of fun, a lot of good information to have that you will find invaluable going forward in the future, and you will not regret it.
Well, I guess with that, we'll wrap up this Citizens Academy Facebook Live
Mm-hmm.
and I'll see you all night one of class, March 11th, 6 p.m.
Yeah.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you guys for tuning in.